Rise up!
This is the Rise Up See Red podcast, all about the Arizona Cardinals and the NFL, featuring insider and outsider perspectives. Enjoy the best hour of Cardinals talk on the web. Now here are your hosts, Jess Root and Seth Cox.
Hello, Arizona Cardinals fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the Rise Up See Red podcast, best our Cardinals talk on the web. I'm your host, Jess Root from Cardswire.com, USA Today's NFL Wire site, covering, of course, your Arizona Cardinals, episode 716, and this is our opponent preview show for Week 10. It's been a couple of weeks since we've had an opponent guest on, but friend of the show, Kole Musgrove from SeahawksWire.com. Joined us in week 4, joined us in the off season, and he's been joining us for multiple years now as the Cardinals take on, fresh off their Monday night win over the Dallas Cowboys, are now set to go to the Pacific Northwest, take on the red-hot Seattle Seahawks, who currently lead the NFC West. Kole, welcome back to the show. How have things been? Obviously, things are going well in Seattle and in the NFC West, except for Arizona, because everyone's got 6 wins except for us.
Well, I saw something. It was, it's that classic King Ghidorah meme where it's the 3 dragon head or 2 dragon heads and one is goofy looking. And this one, it was 4 dragon heads. One was Seahawks 6-2. The other was 49ers 5-3, was bandaged up. Rams scary 6-2, and then the derpy one was the Cardinals at 3-5. But they updated it. They put some sunglasses on it, so at least they're kind of fun.
Yes. Oh, goodness. So, Seattle 6-2, leading the NFC West. And we got to say this. Holy cow, Sam Darnold continues. I was very hesitant. I was very I questioned the move to go from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold. I thought at best it was a lateral move. And boy, did that work out on both ends, because Geno has been kind of hot garbage this year down in Las Vegas. Maybe not necessarily his fault. And Sam Darnold has been every bit as good as he was a year ago. Holy cow. Tell me, since week 4, what has been great about this Seahawks team?
Well, when you said lateral move, that's exactly what I thought too. I figured, okay, well, you're getting younger, you're getting cheaper at the most important position. Okay, that's great, but Sam has a higher ceiling but a lower floor. And Geno, for all as bad as he has been this year, people forget he was good in Seattle. He wasn't, tearing the world on fire, but he was a solid starting quarterback. So I figured, okay, Sam Darnold, you're probably at best getting the same thing, but for cheaper. That's not the case at all. I think in the back of everyone's mind, Sam was, there was excitement, sure, but I think everyone was kind of like, okay, was last year really just the one-hit wonder, the perfect scenario in a dome, Justin Jefferson, Kevin O'Connell? No, Sam just is good. He's just flat out good, and by PFF standards, he's the best quarterback in the league this season.
That's crazy. So, offensively, so every metric about Seattle is good right now. They are number 5 in points scored and points allowed, averaging just a titch under 28.9, just under 29 points a game. They're allowing under 19 points a game, and the yardage that they're giving up and scoring, and it's comparable, because sometimes you get the fraud looks like the Cardinals are 13th in points allowed, or we're 5th in points allowed and 20th in yards allowed. Like that's a fraud alert there. But they're 9th in yards and 11th in yards allowed, so just outside the top 10 in terms of yards allowed. It seems like everything is going the Seahawks way right now. Tell us about obviously they lost that back and forth to Tampa Bay in week 5. What a game. But Tampa Bay, one of my favorite teams to watch other than the Cardinals, but Baker Mayfield is one of my favorite players. But what a showdown there at the end of the game, because both Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield going through it, being clutch. beating Jacksonville, beating Houston, and beating down Washington, and sadly, so Jaden Daniels goes down with an injury. What is there not to like about what Seattle's doing right now?
So just to kind of backtrack just a little for your last question, what's going right with Sam Darnold? You heard it from Chris Collinsworth like 40 times on the broadcast. Sam Darnold is beyond confident. He is getting the ball out quickly. He's making extremely decisive reads, and that we saw last year. That was what fueled the success with the Vikings. But overall, what's been going on with the Seahawks? Yeah, a lot's been going right. A lot has been going right. However, I think any issues that have arisen, are self-inflicted. I think that's why that's why they lost against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They had a couple of self-inflicted wounds. They're a good team, possibly even a great team, but they're not good enough to overcome dumb penalties or bad inopportune fumbles or blocked field goals. And really, that's what the difference was. I mean, yeah, Sam had the interception at the end, but all those little mistakes add up. And against the Texans, that game should have been 30-0. It ended up being 27-19. There was no doubt the Seahawks were going to lose, but it was closer because they just started getting sloppy. So right now, the only thing kind of slowing the Seahawks down is themselves. And we saw that against the Commanders once, that game was well out of reach by halftime. So there wasn't really much to do. But in that second half, things kind of got a little bit choppy on the Seattle's end. And then it no longer was just the outright blowout. It just ended up being just a run-of-the-mill, quote-unquote run-of-the-mill blowout.
Yeah. Defensively, well, it even obviously the passing game is doing very well. He's Sam Darnold averaging nearly 10 yards per attempt. He's only been sacked 9 times in 8 games. That is incredible. 16 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions, and Jackson Smith-Njigba leads the NFL in receiving yards, and his average and it's not only that, so it's not volume receptions, like he's got 948 receiving yards, but he's averaging over 16 yards a catch, which means he's making plays. 58 receptions, still a lot, but they're not spamming him at the line of scrimmage. He's just getting open. Sam Darnold's giving him the ball, and he's getting yards after the catch.
Absolutely. I mean, what's crazy is he probably has less than 30 less targets than Jamar Chase, and he's got over 100 yards more receiving than him. He has become just a truly bona fide nuclear weapon for the Seahawks. Teams can try their best to hold him down, and funny enough, it was the Arizona Cardinals that has held him to his
worst
lowest
game. Was in week 12. Would work week 4.
His worst game was still 79 yards, which, by the way, all 79 came in the second half. They held him to 0 yards in the first half, and then boom, exploded in the second half. Teams can do their best to try and slow him down. It's not working. It's just the system is too good. He is too good. He has answered any and all questions about, is he a legitimate number one? Can he fill in with DK Metcalf? Will it have that kind of production without Metcalf? That was the other biggest question, other than Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, was, hey, JSN had a breakout year. Was it a result of the teams focusing on DK Metcalf? Can he really replicate it? Oh yeah, he can replicate it and then some. Which, side tangent, I'm wondering if DK Metcalf is now learning the grass isn't always greener. Because when the Seahawks hired Clint Kubiak to be their offensive coordinator, Mike Macdonald specifically said one of the reasons why Kubiak was hired was because he had the best idea for how to use Metcalf. And apparently Metcalf didn't want any part of it, didn't want any part of what the Seahawks wanted out. And now JSN is producing in a way that we've never seen from DK. And it kind of makes you think, man, what would it have looked like in a system where he is clearly the number one guy and the offense is built around him? Because I don't even think it's even that way in Pittsburgh.
Oh, and then defensively, there's 27 sacks on the year, 5.5 from Nwosu, who's been more or less a journeyman, but very productive. We talked about Byron Murphy and his kind of unspectacular rookie year. He has exceeded. I mean, he's looking great 5 sacks. Leonard Williams is always productive. DeMarcus Lawrence, Drake Thomas. They're getting like, is there any weakness right now with this Seattle team?
Well, so I said, the issue, one of the biggest issues is just self-inflicted, right? They're very well coached, they're very well disciplined, but they're just, there's still a couple of mistakes, growing pain mistakes. On the field issue, they really are just not that good at running the ball, which I know is frustrating the hell out of Mike McDonald. It's frustrating the hell out of Clint Kubiak. It's frustrating the hell out of everybody who's rooting for the Seahawks. And it's not for lack of trying, which is the concerning thing. The Seahawks are feeding Charbonnet and they're feeding Kenneth Walker. They're running 30 plus times a game, and it's just so hit or miss. And it's really the best rushing games have come from just big home run plays. You take those out, the yardage total isn't that great. So hopefully, adding Rashid Shaheed kind of will help open up the run game, because defenses will have to be focused on yet another explosive playmaker on offense. But right now, that's kind of the issue. It's kind of funny. We've entered a little bit of a bizarro world with the Seahawks, where the offensive line is really good at protecting the quarterback, and yet they just cannot get the push up front to open up these run games. So I think that is the number one concern with the Seahawks on either side of the ball for me.
Have Kenneth Walker, obviously Charbonnet averaging 2.9 yards per attempt, but he's got 5 touchdowns, and they do like using him in short yardage situations. But Ken Walker is 4.5 yards a carry. So has that been bolstered by splash plays where he's explosive but not nearly as efficient?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's if I were to pick one running back to trust on like a traditional like ground attack, just hit the hole, go, it's probably Charbonnet. But in terms of just like raw athleticism and home run hitting ability, it's Kenneth Walker. Now, he kind of frustrates me because he kind of does the Russell Wilson thing where he kind of runs around a little bit in the backfield where it's like, just go, just hit the hole. And of course, I'm sure every fantasy team owner is frustrated that he's never getting any touches at the goal line. It's always going to Charbonnet or even tight end AJ Barner. So I'm not sure how they feel. I'm sure it's not great. I don't know. It's just they're trying very hard to incorporate both to limited success, and it just kind of feels like they haven't quite figured out the ratio of when to use kind of the speedy, elusive, explosive back versus just the hard-nosed power back. I have confidence they're going to be able to figure it out. Like I'm still, if you have to choose between an offensive coordinator who just abandons the run if you can't get it right in the first couple of plays and just that's it, versus you just keep running regardless if it's working, you always pick option number 2, because eventually you're probably going to get it right. 2, it helps your identity. 3, by the end of the season when defenses are worn down, it's probably going to start becoming more and more effective. Just so I prefer that. I'm still confident it's going to get resolved at some point, but it's still kind of just a mixed bag right now.
I'm not excited as a Cardinals fan, as not a fan of the rest of the NFC West, to see Seattle pick up Rashid Shaheed. That is, and I mean, JSN has been unstoppable. Cooper Kupp, when he's healthy, is as productive as anyone and crafty. But and Torrey Horton has been really, really good. But adding the breakaway speed of Shaheed, holy cow, I'm really scared about this Seattle offense moving forward.
It's kind of again, this is uncharted territory for Seahawks fans, because every historic good Seahawks team has always been defensive focused in the ground attack, and it's always been, and this is dating back to the 05 team with Sean Alexander and Matt Hasselbeck. This was never the dynamic, explosive offensive team. The only time we've ever seen anything kind of close was the 2020 let Russ cook year, and that only lasted like half a season. Before that, just kind of devolved into just a sloppy mess. It's fun. This team is fun to watch. This offense is really fun to watch. Sam Darnold might be one of the best just pure arm talents the Seahawks have ever had. And with all due respect to Russ, whose moonball ability has been well documented and well praised, and there may never be anything like that again, but just in terms of just Sam, hitting fade routes, that's something we haven't seen in years. Throwing over the middle of the field, that never happened with Russ, barely happened with Gino. Just the confidence and just the ability to just make quick decisions. He's not playing hero ball, which is so refreshing to watch. He's just a point guard. He is distributing the ball necessary to all the playmakers. And look at Sunday night. Elijah Arrayo got his first touchdown. Torrey Horton got 2 touchdowns. Cody White got a touchdown, his first touchdown. And then JSN was just all over the field. So he's not just honing in on one guy. The Seahawks team can attack from multiple ways. So pick your poison.
Coming up next on the Res of Sierra podcast, it's our Cardinals talk on the web. Let's move on and talk about this particular matchup. Keys to this game, matchups that'll matter. That's coming up next on Res of Sierra. We're back on the Res of Sierra podcast. This is our Cardinals talk on the web, talking to Kole Musgrove over the Seahawks Wire as we do our opponent preview, talking about Cardinals-Seahawks in Week 10. Obviously, the Cardinals have been an interesting team, to say the least, as they finally got off the schneid with their 5-game losing streak, but only losing those games by a total of 13 points. Last-second losses in 3 straight, including against Seattle in Week 4, when Kyler Murray took them, scored 14 fourth-quarter points to tie the game. They only had, 26 seconds or something like that, 28 seconds left in the game. And the defense immediately gives up a 36-yard pass to JSN. They miss up on the kickoff, and then another game-winning kick ends it. How do you see this game, not prediction-wise, how do you see this game matchup-wise differently than Week 4 now that the Cardinals have moved on to Jacoby Brissett in the lineup?
I'll be honest. Jacoby Brissett concerns me more than Kyler Murray has ever concerned me. I have never feared him. I know he's an incredible athletic talent, but as a leader and a winning quarterback, of which he is not, he's never been a player that's concerned me. Jacoby Brissett, similar to Sam Darnold, he's not playing hero ball. He's not trying to light the world on fire. He's just trying to he's a professional trying to operate the offense at the highest level possible. And he's been around this league. There isn't anything he hasn't seen, including the Seahawks defense, which he played last year when he was with the Patriots in Week 2. Now, a lot's changed. I think this defensive unit's a lot better than it was Week 2 of last season. But Brissett was fine, 150 yards, interception. Not anything tremendous, but he wasn't the reason they lost that game. Right now, I think that offense is going to operate a little bit better with him. It's going to be a little more cohesive. Marvin Harrison's certainly going to get more looks as the game goes on. So I think you're dealing with kind of a more professional operation with the Cardinals. So, yeah, Brissett concerns me more. Cardinals-Seahawks games are always weird, like 19-9, 17-7, 16-6, 20-10, weird, ugly slop fest. And quite frankly, at this point, I might as well just say we haven't had an 18-8 game, so it's probably going to be that. We've had 16-6. We've had, I think it's probably going to be a low.
We've had 6-6.
6-6. These two teams are just chaos. Chaos always ensues when these two teams play. They're always weird, bizarre games. I'm expecting something similar. It's going to be a lower scoring. It's going to be defensive. I think I don't know if it's necessarily the Seahawks come back down to life, but the Cardinals need the win. They need the win more. Seahawks are desperate too. They got to keep pace with the Rams.
Correct.
And with the Rams coming next week, first time with the Rams, I think Seahawks they'll be good, but they'll be a little tight because not that they'll be looking ahead, but they got in the back of their minds, no, we can't drop this one. I think it's going to be a tough game. And I think Cardinals are going to give the Seahawks a little bit better of a fight than I think many in the national media are predicting.
How do you see the pass rush impacting this game? Because in the one thing that there is major concern, at least for me, with Brissett at quarterback, and he has operated the offense quite well.
Mhm.
He's been sacked 13 times in 3 games and been hit 35 times. Um, are the Seahawks going to add to that this weekend?
I think so as well, and I think that's going to be the true difference maker in this game. I said before the season started, the best way for the Seahawks to take that leap from good to great, both as just a defense and as a team, as a franchise overall, is find a way to get one position group into elite status. Find a way. And I thought that the position group that had the best chance of making that jump was the defensive line. And so far, they have just been an absolute quarterback's worst nightmare. Leonard Williams is as good a player as there is in the NFL. Byron Murphy II has taken that second-year leap. It's like last year, it just felt like he was just like a fraction of a second behind every sack, just not able to just seal the deal. Now he's made up that 1 second. This team is just an absolute terror on the defensive front, and I think that is going to be the difference maker here on Sunday.
What matchups are you in particular looking at? I, for one, as good as this run defense is, and the Cardinals don't run the ball particularly well now because, they're going with a guy named Bam Knight and Amari DiMercato. Now, they ran the ball for, I think, 119 yards against the Cowboys, but we know the Cowboys defense is no good. And
No,
they
I think
haven't been able.
I think you and I could have 100 yards rushing against the Cowboys right now.
That's bold coming from. I'm a 48-year-old out of shape man.
That's just they're not good.
Oh man, but I worry about because the Cardinals aren't a good running team right now to begin with. For the Seahawks will probably be able to shut that down. If the Cardinals are one-dimensional, I don't know how that's going to go. But matchup-wise, what's going to be different this week? It will be different this week, though. And here's a funny thing: is that the return of Will Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
You can point to Will Hernandez, and if you look at his grades are awful right now. Like the metrics say he's bad, but his insertion into the starting lineup, his return to the lineup, has led to the offense being good. So he started the game in week 5. He made his debut this season, and he was in the game for 4 drives against Tennessee. The Cardinals scored 3 touchdowns in the first 4 drives. He came out because he was on a pitch count, didn't play the rest of the game. The Cardinals didn't score another point. Since then, in the 3 games that Kyler Murray missed, they scored 23, or so they scored 27, 23, and 27 games. And you could say it's Jacoby Brissett, but also you look at Will Hernandez in the lineup in the first half against Tennessee. His addition has for some reason, again, individually, his play does not grade out well. But his presence on that line has been a difference maker, and that's a big thing over last year because Will Hernandez didn't play against Seattle, and what did Leonard Williams do? Absolutely eat for lunch Isaiah Adams and Tristan Colon and whatever guy they had playing at right guard. I really want to see that matchup, Will Hernandez and Leonard Williams, this week.
Well, you're talking to the guy whose team spent a first-round pick on a guard out of NDSU, and that NDSU rookie is playing like a 10-year veteran. So you're not.
Not surprising. Not surprising.
Oh no! And as somebody who I went to Eastern Washington University, I saw up close and personal multiple times just how damn good the Bison are, and what kind of players they churn out. But Gray's Abel has been an absolute revelation for this offensive line. So yeah, Will Hernandez coming back in, that should make an impact. Now I still think there's, Will Hernandez is one guy. There's still too many other guys: DeMarcus Lawrence, Jaron Reed, Boye Mafe, Derek Hall. I think Seahawks defensive line is still going to feast overall. But in terms of what matchup I'm most excited for, I mean, it's kind of an easy answer, but everyone wants to play with the new toy at Christmas, right? I cannot wait to see how they incorporate Rashid Shaheed. especially since he knows Kubiak's system. I'm sure the learning curve to catch him up to speed is going to be very low, since he played in Kubiak's system last year when Clint was with the Saints. So I'm excited to see what he can bring to this offense, what he can bring to the passing attack. Like I said earlier, in the running game, I think it's going to open things up, because now, hey, it's no longer, hey, we just have to focus on JSN and maybe Cody White. No, it's going to make an impact. So I cannot wait to see how quickly him and Darnold connect and what the Seahawks have in store.
Yes. And the cornerback matchup, which is going to be interesting, of course. Little bit of doubt as to what's happening, because Max Melton and the fact that he missed practice today doesn't bode well for his return to the lineup. The Cardinals against Dallas, for the first time since week 2, had their 3 best cornerbacks on the field together, with Garrett Williams returned to the lineup. Max Melton was just in there. Will Johnson was in there. And then Max Melton suffered a concussion in the first half and missed the rest of the game. Max Melton has not practiced this week. Will Johnson, with a groin issue, downgraded to did not practice on Thursday. So I was excited to see a healthy secondary against JSN and Cooper Kupp and Shaheed. Only now it looks like it's going to be Garrett Williams, Denzel Burke, and Keitrell Clark. Sadly, trying to slow that passing attack, which does not bode well.
I wish I could be. I mean, obviously, I'm biased. You know that. I'm a Seahawks guy. You're a Cardinals guy. While I do think that division games are always closer than people think, especially when these two teams meet in Seattle. I just think overall, I mean, it's any given Sunday. I just don't think the Cardinals have enough firepower, offensively or defensively, to overcome the Seahawks. I think they can slow them down, given the familiarity, but I'm thinking 23-17 Seahawks.
And so let's do that. So coming up next, Rise of Zero podcast, Best Hard Cardinals talking. Let's talk predictions. Cole gave us the prediction, but we'll talk more about that coming up next on Rise of C-Red. We're back on the Rise of Zero podcast, Best Hard Cardinals talk of the whip, picks, predictions, what we think's going to happen. Cole already said it. He thinks it'll be a close game, 23-17. That I, as much as I love the Cardinals, and everyone is in love with Jacoby Brissett right now. The offense looks so much better, this and that. I think this is the kryptonite game. And I'll be honest, I don't trust the defense that much. The defense has been very up and down, especially in the fourth quarter, been really bad this year. But you predict a close game, 23-17. I don't know. The Cardinals proved me wrong this last week. But getting that win, I think, was out of desperation, and a Dallas team that mismanaged that game. Like that Dallas mismanaged that game. They kicked the 2 field goals instead of going for it, and it's a 4-point game. And that game becomes, I think, the Cardinals defense and everyone on that team starts puckering up because of how fourth quarters have gone. That said, I don't know if this time around they're going to be as good defensively for most of the game. Now, ultimately, Smith and Jigba just tore them apart in the second half, but I don't see the Cardinals slowing this offense very well. And I think it's going to be a 30-16 game. That the offense is going to come down to earth, and suddenly the problems that Kyler had are going to be the same problems that Jacoby has. And honestly, I'm a little worried that the 35 hits plus whatever Seattle's got coming is going to lead us to having Keaton Slovis playing quarterback at some point during the game. And nobody wants Keaton Slovis playing in the NFL. Keaton Slovis can be on an NFL roster. Great story. He's a local kid from here. Looked his freshman year at USC, he looked like something special. if Keaton Slovis is playing football for you in the NFL in 2025, that's bad news for everyone involved.
If your name sounds more like a Star Wars name, I think I would have to agree. My biggest thing is the Seahawks just had Sam Darnold played the game of his life last week. Literally perfect. The Seahawks offense looked as good as I've seen it in years. I think with the division game at home, it's not a full letdown spot, but I'm not going to be. I know how this team goes. I'm just not going to be that surprised if the offense is a little clunkier, a little less efficient, especially against a division opponent. And recent history just suggests these games are always weird, low-scoring affairs.
Yeah.
But maybe the leaf has been turned because it's been this is the Sam Darnold years, not this Geno Smith years. But I'm thinking it's going to be 23-17. It may not feel as close. It may be one of those kind of weird games where Seattle just is in control the whole time. I just think I can envision a scenario where it comes down to the Cardinals have the ball late and Jacoby Brissett is just eaten alive by Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams.
Yeah, because what he has not done is finished games well. Brissett has not. He had the ball in his hands twice. Yeah, against Indy, against Green Bay, and didn't look good in those final drives. They scored no points in the fourth quarter against Dallas. And the spread has shifted on BetMGM just a little bit ago. It's now moved up to a full 7 points. And with the projected total at 45, 81% of the handle is on the over right now.
Ooh, I'm not rich. I've never gotten rich from gambling, but this feels and I adhere to the life's too short to bet the under. But for this sort of game, that feels outlandishly high for these two teams. Where it's going to be cold and possibly rainy. You got a dome team going out in the cold. I think it's going to be lower scoring. I think the Cardinals are going to put up more of a fight than folks think. But I like your prediction better.
If you like the under, if you like the game playing out how Kole says, if you're looking at odds, so you've got the 45 set at minus 110 either way. If you want to ratchet that down to under 43 or under 42 and a half, let's go under 42 and a half just to give yourself an extra leg. You can get plus 125 odds on that on BetMGM. And if you are like me and believe that this, because Kole likes the Cardinals to cover the +7 or +6.5, depending where you get it. But I've got the Cardinals losing by double digits. And if we go with Seattle by a touchdown, but that's already so if I ratchet that to -9.5, you get plus 125 odds, which, if you trust the Cardinals you trust the Seahawks more likely than not, that'll give you a little bit of value. Now, in terms of players, let's look at this. Do you think so? The odds say over 1.5 touchdown passes for Sam Darnold minus 165. How many touchdown passes do you think Sam Darnold's throwing against the Cardinals?
I'm saying he throws 2. I'll say he has 2 touchdowns and an interception.
I think he throws an interception. Okay, so then if that, you get plus 110 odds for Darnold throwing an interception. So he can do that. Which means he's not expected to throw an interception that game. Let's see what we've got for JSN. 7.5 receptions. Do we go over that total? He has had 8 receptions in 4 straight games and at least 8 in 6 of 8. But the last 4 have been exactly 8 receptions, and then he's had 8 or more in 6 of 8. Do you like that over 7.5 receptions?
I don't, and I don't feel good about saying that because I want it to be, but I just think with Rashid Shaheed, I think there's going to be at least a concerted effort to try and get him involved quickly, spread the love a little bit, and maybe focus on the ground attack a little bit more. So I'm going to pick the under. That being said, Knowing how I gamble, it's probably going to have like 15 receptions.
So if you like Shaheed, then 3.5 is the total for at 3.5. And if you go over 3.5 plus 130, and his yardage is 39.5, are you saying that they're going to feed him a little bit in that first game?
I think so. I would take the over on that.
Okay, good. What about does Smith and Jigma hit 100 yards?
I will say he does. I think that it was certainly, zero receiving yards in the first half against the Cardinals. I don't think that's going to happen again. I mean, even if he has 15 in the first half, even if he had, 21 in the first half last time, he's still at 100 yards in that Week 4 game. So I'm thinking he's going to keep with 100 yards.
Okay, we've got Kenneth Walker at 51.5 rushing yards is the projected total, and Zach Charbonnet at 43.5. Do you like the over or under for either of those guys?
I like the under for both. I don't think Charbonnet's had more than 47 yards all season, and Walker is continuing to split carries with Charbonnet.
Okay. Kicking props. I always like to look at the kicking props. Nothing fantastic. Let's see. 23 points would mean 3 field goals. And so you like, okay, there's not great odds on those, but Jason Myers over those, no great bets on that, but you can get over 1.5 field goals at -130, over, but if you like this, so if you like 23 points is your total, if you like under 2.5 extra points, that's plus 105 money there. So that with Seth and I on the regular show, we like to point out some of our favorite prop bets, and I particularly look for easy, like low total things that you can get plus money on. How many sacks? Now this is not one of the props, but how many sacks do you think the Seahawks will get against Jacoby Brissett?
I'm saying they're going to have at least 3 sacks. At least 3 sacks as a team.
Awesome. And with that, that'll wrap up this edition of the Rise of C-Red podcast. That's our Cardinals Talk on the Web, talking with Kole Musgrove from the Seahawks Wire in episode 716. We still got one more show coming this week with Seth Cox, my co-host, as we will do our picks, predictions, and props as well. And apparently I'm going to be Cole's first guest on his show. So if you go over, what's the name of your show, Kole, that they can catch us having another conversation that you drive this time?
Brand new show, Emerald City Radio. It is I launched it just 4 or 5 episodes ago. So it is still got that new podcast smell.
All right. That sounds great. All right. So check that out, and check out the episode that comes out later this week with me and Kole over there. Kole will do the driving and I will do the guesting. But again, that wraps up this edition of the show. That's Kole Musgrove. I'm Jess Root. Thanks for listening. As always, we'll be back again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the latest edition of the Rise Up C-Red podcast. Listen to previous episodes and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Audioboom, or many other podcast platforms so shows are delivered directly to your mobile device. Please give the show a 5-star rating and always support the sponsors who support the show. We'll be back soon for the best hour of Cardinals talk on the web. Rise up Red Sea, be Red Sea Red, and of course, Rise up C-Red.